Good morning, Bitcoins. Today is Tuesday, November 24th, 2020. My name is Thomas Hunt, and this is the World Crypto Network. The price of Bitcoin is up 4.74% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 19,274, a high of 19,400, a low of 18,130, with a volume of 13,671 Bitcoins changing hands. The market continues to lean long, with 70% of the market heading that direction. Bitcoin dominance was at 63%. Checking out our top stories today from CoinDesk: a Bitcoin shortage. PayPal and Cash App are buying more than 100% of the new Bitcoin supply, by Nathaniel Whitmore. When demand from these two sources alone exceeds the entire supply of newly minted Bitcoin, expect serious supply pressure to follow. They mainly talked about this blah, blah, blah. So that's an interesting article. But more importantly, let's remember where we are and how we got here. YouTube threat receiving a call. Hello, you're live. You're on the air. How's it going, Nindy? Maybe. I don't know if it's connecting the audio or not. I'm going to go check the chat to see if that works. If that works, people can just call in. Chat, how's the sound? There's a delay. Anyway, we're about to show this incredible video about Bitcoin and how the price went up and what happened. This is Quick Crypto, at least uploaded it to YouTube. And here we go. Let's check it out. This is what's been happening to us and many other Bitcoiners like us in the last few years. But now we need to run that video in reverse, right? Because there's Elmo going back up into the house, 3,000, 9,000, 14,000, whoa, 16,000. And suddenly the price of Bitcoin is somewhere around here again, 16,000. I think that's about a good place to pause it. We're getting reports that the sound is working on the YouTube video. So maybe we'll play a Hitler reacts to Bitcoin Cash. That sounds funny. We might play something like that next, but we are just checking out the price of Bitcoin this morning and the general exuberance in the Bitcoin community. Then we're going to move into complaints. Something's wrong with Tallycoin. It interferes with my plugins and it won't even show a QR code anymore. Makes me sad. So then I took my Bitcoin address over to the blockstream.info explorer, which I thought was really cool and maybe better than blockchain.info, the old explorer I used to use. But unfortunately, they won't show the USD price. So if you want to know how much your 0.12 Bitcoin's worth, you have to take it to a cool website like this classic website called Preev.com, Preev.com. I don't know why it's called that, but I've always used this as a really great way to check out the price of Bitcoin, which of course is it's one Bitcoin for 19,320 according to Preev. But what's nice here is that you can put in, how much you actually have, or how much you might have, and it'll give you the amount of what it's worth. So blockstream.info should add that to their page. Blockchain.info, which is full of ads and garbage now, at least has this button on the side. So I can tell you that our goal to raise $1 million in Bitcoin has actually gone up. Donations are still going slow, but thankfully our 41 donors have raised what is now $2,300 $325, well on its way to $1 million. Right now it is 0.12 of a Bitcoin. That's pretty cool. I also saw this great article on CoinDesk, but I think it's way too long to read, called Cypherpunk, Crypto Anarchy and How Bitcoin Lost the Narrative. The article discusses how the cypherpunks were, first of all, right about the internet, right about Bitcoin, right about a lot of things, and now have been sidelined by the corporations and the money people who have joined the new Bitcoin game. So, excellent article from CoinDesk. Check that out. It's called Cypherpunk, Crypto Anarchy, and How Bitcoin Lost the Narrative by Brady Dale at CoinDesk. I watched all 3 Godfather movies yesterday. I'm more than ready to discuss Godfather movies if the chat goes this direction. But for right now, we're mainly just watching the price of Bitcoin, warming up the show, warming up the chat. We invited all the people we could invite, but no one seems to be available. Maybe they're out doing one of those Elmo scenes or something like that. But fortunately, yes, we've got Nindy has joined us. How's it going, Nindy? Maybe people can hear you. I'm not sure what's going on. There's a lot of audio sources here. Christmas, yeah, it's pretty good. Even if you, I see a lot of confident people out there that seem to have had no trouble holding on to their investment for years and years, while other of us had to sell parts and live off the investment. So there are ups and downs to this thing, but it is nice to see it up again. Yep, there have been lots of great memes, lots of stuff going on Twitter. Let's see what's going on out there right now. We'll try to take a live look at Twitter. Still watching. Definitely, and for believing in this thing when no one else believed in it. They can't hear you, Nindy. You need to get into the Jitsi or one of the other servers around here. It's like I'm talking to myself. Well, at least the YouTube video, when I played the YouTube video, that worked. Because I also had a plan to play clips here. So let me check out one of these clips that we've got ready. This is the first episode of Mad Bitcoins, all the way back from April of 2013. The price of Bitcoin was somewhere around 75 to maybe $300. I hear that you can maybe hear the YouTube video, so we're going to give that a try as well. Here's a 30-second blast of the original Mad Bitcoins. So you can see back then we were very excited about the new Butterfly Labs miners and the idea that they were actually going to ship an ASIC, which was a special computer chip designed just to run Bitcoin. This was the absolute beginning of the ASIC mining boom. This was before Bitmain. This is before Binance, for all kinds of things. But it was a very exciting time and an exciting time for Bitcoin. As you can see here in the description, it says, Bitcoins are awesome. Gigahash miners from Butterfly Labs in the wild. Man fires rocket at moon. Moon unharmed. And we are getting an update that the clips aren't playing. We do have a backup plan. Stand by for the backup plan, and we'll watch that 30 seconds again. Again, this is a live television, but thanks to everyone in the chat for letting us know if it works. This is a much like the American democracy.
Bitcoins. This is I'm Fiat Currency, and here are today's Mad Bits. Butterfly Labs actually shipped something. Working. Gigahash in the wild. That's why I've sent my money to Butterfly Labs and I'm in line with everyone else. Can you feel the momentum? Giga hash in the wild. Buy Bitcoins today. Mad Bitcoins.
It's my theory that the video worked that time. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. All right, excellent. So we can share clips. We can watch the price of Bitcoin together. If you want, you guys can call in. We can work out something like that, or you can just join the Jitsi. Jitsi's all right. It's open source. It's kind of like Zoom, but open source and not owned by China. But we might go back to Zoom someday as well, because Zoom has that thing about good software. It works really good. So it's hard to avoid. We're checking out the price of Bitcoin this morning. It's at 19,239. To me, 19.2 already seems like the high. I guess I wasn't watching the price the day it went that to that mark, but others have said it's actually more like 19,800, 19,800 and something. Post your all-time high in the chat. What's the all-time highest number that you've ever seen for Bitcoin? Or if you know the actual one, let us know, and we'll announce it, and we'll sit here and just stare at the chart until it changes. You might be asking yourself, what is this amazing and excellent price chart that we're looking at, Mad Bitcoins? This is the bitcoinal.com price chart by DJ Booth. And this is the fun view where you can see that it's light colored, it's seasonal, and this is the positive season of Bitcoin. At least for the last 4 days or so, and a little before that, the price of Bitcoin has done nothing but go up. So we're watching it here on the chart now. He's added in this new mode. You can sweep up all this little stuff, and it gives you a counter in the corner for how much stuff you sweep up. We're joined by Martin. Martin, how's it going? We're watching the price of Bitcoin this morning. Martin can't talk, but that's good. Everyone needs technical difficulties. It's funny now. I actually see this on the news all the time. They have the same exact difficulties that I have. People connecting and disconnecting. You're muted. You're not muted. Plug in your microphone. All of those things have become commonplace on real television. So I get a kick out of that too. Maybe we should get the chat up here on the shared window. I'm running all this from my laptop without my board, without my extra monitor. I didn't think I'd be here so long, but once you start going to doctor's appointments, they just love it to get you to go to more appointments. So I'm stuck here for a while.
Can you hear me now?
Martin has joined us. How's it going?
How are you, Thomas? What a surprise. It's all-time high, man. I never expected it. Did you?
Everyone said it was coming back. I mean, I definitely helped out. I sold a little bit of Bitcoin to cover my credit card bills. So whenever that happens, there's always a resulting positive swing. I don't want to, but I probably should have a private mailing list where I publish when I sell and when I buy, so that people could do the opposite. And it would just be one of those horrible things where it's like, yes, I've ran up the cards again. I have to sell. The zero interest period has ended, blah, blah, blah. It's, you know, it's time that the juice is running on old Mad Bitcoins. And whenever that happens, the price of Bitcoin goes up. So you in the audience could profit from me having to sell. But other than, you know, my typical saltiness from having sold a little, this is very nice. This is very workable. 19,000. That's, again, if you had kind of one Bitcoin when you started, and it went up, and it was worth like 1,400 for a while, and then it was worth back to 300, and then it was worth like 14,000, 15,000 for a while, and you're thinking, I got myself a small car, you know. So Bitcoin is back in the small car range, which is very cool, right? You could drive around in a Bitcoin now.
Yeah, it's quite amazing. But to be honest, I would rather have seen it go sideways for a while, you know, so we could stack some more sets. But you know, price is really up now, so it's becoming a bit more expensive to invest. But
well, but what we're getting now is the free show What we have to appreciate now with Bitcoin is that everybody who didn't care when we were down and said that it was dead is now suddenly back. So, welcome back to our friends, the media. Welcome back to the mainstream media. They forgot about Bitcoin for years. Now, suddenly, just today, it's back. Really, you could look at this entire year. Bitcoin's been going up pretty ridiculously the entire year. They could have told you about it then. I said around 3,000 to 5,000, I was lamenting as usual. And I said that, the media never cares when we're low. And if they really were useful investing information, they'd say that Bitcoin thing that we told you so much about when it was at 15 to 18,000, that we completely stopped talking about when it went under 13,000, is now at 3,000. So sure, maybe we think it's going to zero, and several of our analysts have agreed with us. But if you were one of those people that wanted to take a random bet on Bitcoin, that would be a great time for the media to have done a bunch of stories about Bitcoin, this kind of make or break moment of 5,000, 3,000. But instead, they just forgot about it. Then recently it hit 17, 18, and they said, whoa, that's near the all-time high. And that's apparently only when they care. So they only care about the all-time high. And this is the same for all of your family members that wouldn't listen to you. And it's been several up or downs now. So it's getting really confusing to whether your family members should have listened to you and at which point they could have bought in. But now we're back at one of those other crazy points in Bitcoin where you can just say, hey, anybody that bought Bitcoin, except for those that got really on the all-time high, has now made what they call in the industry profits, right? You might not be a millionaire, but technically, if you have more money than you started with, you profited from investing in Bitcoin. So pat yourself on the back, even if it's a 0.1 or a 0.01, or maybe you got some altcoins, whatever kind of garbage you got. If it went up, you made profit, pat yourself on the back. So there you go. What do you think, Martin? We're getting into some really serious investment talk here.
I think most people that started early in Bitcoin, like in 2010, 2011, they had to sell already way before this all-time high, because you got bills to pay, and if the only thing you're doing is Bitcoin, then sometimes you don't have the luxury to just wait and hold your Bitcoin. So yeah, but I always kept a little bit and try to live a bit frugal, and at least save some sats. So yeah, they go up, and I think most people who bought Bitcoin will have now turned a decent profit, unless of course they went playing in the shitcoin casino, because then that's a good way to lose it all. But it's quite impossible not to make a profit with an all-time high. But some people, they thought, let's sell my Bitcoin and buy Link or something else, and then Link went down and they went back into Bitcoin, and now so.
And remember that whenever you're buying, there's always someone else that's selling into you. We used to have one of our friends that lived in the house, one of our roommates, and whenever Bitcoin would go down, he would sell immediately. And meanwhile, another friend in the house, whenever Bitcoin would get down, they would buy immediately. And it seemed as though they were just trading these coins amongst each other, the negative and the positive. And as it turned out, if you were positive about Bitcoin, and if you didn't have to sell it to live, and you didn't sell it because you got worried or the exchange was iffy or you just got a bad feeling or whatever, if you overcame all those feelings, you're in the profit now. You're in the black. No one even knows that term because it never happens. Everyone knows you're in the red. You're in the red, you're down, right? But if you're in the black, you're in profit. And really, I don't know. I mean, really, if we want to talk about philosophically, Bitcoin doesn't really care about the price. Bitcoin's not really about the price. It's about giving this alternative finance system to everyone and separating the power of the governments from the power of money printing. A lot of people say one of the great victories of the American democratic experiment, which is still tottering, hasn't completely failed, but one of the great innovations, the features that you would take with you, is separation of church and state. It's really worked out for America. There's been ups and downs, but generally, you can have your own religion, you can have a government. They don't interfere with each other that much, and it's worked out for 200 years. And now with Bitcoin, we could have a new separation of governments and money printing. And this must be horrifying for incoming Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, who used to be in charge of the Federal Reserve, who has also caused a little thing that we in America call the Dow Jones to go over 30,000 today. So we are at records on both ends of the spectrum. The people who say Bitcoin follows the stock market would also not be wrong, because the stock market is crazy up today as well.
I see in the macro trend, it says 2020, 165% up. Well, if you look at the last 365 days, it's 156% up. So in the last 2 years, we've been seeing 350% increase on Bitcoin. This is amazing, Thomas. Even the Colombian drug cartel doesn't have this type of profit shares. So it's
funny. It's funny you mentioned that. I was watching Godfather yesterday. I watched
you watched
all of them. Yeah, and in the third one, they actually have this kind of celebratory. The third one, which is usually terrible, and I never watch it, but now I'm very interested in. They have this kind of celebratory scene where all the mobsters get together and they say, Michael, 20 years ago, we gave you our money to invest in the casinos. Well, you sold the casinos, and now our money is worth 50 to 100 times what it's worth. We're all millionaires. And they walked around the room and they gave each other checks from their legal gains that they had just made through Michael's investments in the markets and so on and so forth. So it is funny that to make money legally just by holding something and risking something, and also you lose money. Like there's lots of points where you have, your little amount of Bitcoin and you're down. You have your little amount of Bitcoin and you're up. You have it when you're down again. You have it when you're up again. And you just hope that, someday it'll be up a little bit more. And maybe you can get that small car. And maybe by that time, that small car will be a Tesla that'll drive itself, because I'm sick of driving. And I think it's unsafe. It's unsafe for humans to drive.
I wouldn't bet on Tesla either. But
it's been good so far. I should have hold stronger on that too. Ooh, Tesla, my God.
Should look in your rear mirror every once in a while to see if the rear bumper is still there, because I read it sometimes catches a lot of dust and sand and water, and then it comes off. It's a bit of a construction failure there.
I think the whole car is made of plastic. Other than the engine and the body, I think it's made of plastic. But the software is amazing, and the fact that the software has gotten better, and they upgrade it remotely, and they made it because you could buy a car years ago that didn't self-drive, and I'm pretty sure that Tesla thing, if you pay them, and it's gotten worse and worse, thousands of dollars, they'll make your car self-drive, which again is truly magic. It's going to save lots of lives.
And yeah. I like to drive a petrol car. Maybe I'm like call me old-fashioned, but I think it's good. If everybody drives their electric car, then there is enough gasoline left for my petrol car. Yeah, so, but I just like the reach on it. If I don't use the car in the city, it's useless here in Europe. Just use it for long distances, and then if you have an electric car, there's no long distance driving in an electric car. It's eventually just have to do a picnic at a charging station. Even though it's a supercharger, you still have to wait quite some time. So
it's a super wait for your supercharger. That's right. Another block here on Bitcoinal. You can see he celebrates the blocks, and he's added a clever new car there that says "Tip the developer." There's a little picture of DJ Booth, so that's cool.
It is this is one of the nicest Bitcoin rate graphs I think out there, with a little train and the car going there. It's which one is it? Bitcoinal, yeah.
Yep, Bitcoinal. It's like a seasonal chart. These are the seasons of Bitcoin. And it was neat a little while ago when we were up in the 19.3s, you could see it had little GIFs and stuff that would pop up, little celebratory graphics. We're keeping an eye on the chat, so keep chatting to us today. They think that the high for Bitcoin is around 19,800 to 20,000, depending on the exchange that you were looking at. And a lot of the exchanges you might be using today didn't exist when Bitcoin last hit its high, or they weren't nearly as popular as they were now. Back then, you'd probably be looking at CoinDesk or Coinbase as well, not Mt. Gox. Mt. Gox would have been the previous all-time highs. We probably were still looking at Gox. And others like Binance were just getting started, or just a twinkle in the eye of their inventors. The price of Bitcoin is 19,220. It's stabilized since we started the show. It did look like it was going nowhere but downward since we announced the show. So we are having a major effect on the price of Bitcoin. Someone was explaining the Heisenberg uncertainty principle to me the other day, and they had a very uncertain grasp of it. But their uncertain grasp would lead me to believe that by us watching this Bitcoin number, we are actually affecting it directly in a measurable fashion.
The price on Kraken right now is $70, $72 higher. So it's $73 higher. So this price, I don't know whether it's an average price, whether it's sourced from the different exchanges. Because if you look at the volume, that looks like the total volume to me. And volume on Kraken has been 8,332 Bitcoin today, past 24 hours. So that's they're doing a fair amount of the Euro traffic right nowadays. Said, Gox wasn't there in 2017. It was already gone. But I think we still had those shitcoin exchanges like Cryptsy and stuff. They were still there. Or not? Or was it gone already? I don't know.
There used to be hundreds of altcoins on Cryptsy, hundreds of altcoins. And now there's almost hundreds of altcoins on Coinbase. How lucky we are to live in this future. Yes,
they call it shitcoin base for a reason. I think it's. I don't know. I'd rather see them just have Bitcoin and just a few of the large altcoins, because it's just too confusing for a beginner. In the past, I'd say, if you want to buy your first Bitcoin, just go to Coinbase. But nowadays, I really wouldn't recommend it, because it's not your private keys, not your coins, and they have so many distractions with all these altcoins that especially for the beginner, it's not the best place to purchase your crypto. So
I remember a old fairy tale where they sent Jack into town, and he was supposed to just buy crops and buy new seeds to plant and buy some Bitcoin, and he came back with magic beans. That's all he got was magic beans, and they grew into a beanstalk, and it didn't seem to have any beans on it at all, so you couldn't eat it. It was a disaster for Jack and his family when they came back with magic beans instead of Bitcoin. So we've got some questions and comments in the chat, so make sure to give us a thumbs up down there. YouTube judges videos by how many thumbs up they get. And give us a share if you're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, any of these things. We're only on YouTube today, so we're all in just one place. And we're just going to try to keep this going until I have to go, or till the price breaks the all-time high. I'm not sure. Something like that. What happens when we click this? Oh, DJ Booth has that in the script for the web page. So there's a possibility. I don't know if you can hear it, Martin, but I can hear it. The guy says there's an infinite amount of cash in the Federal Reserve.
Really? He took your soundboard?
Yeah, well, you got the same thing. But yeah, he's got it here. If you click on the car,
I can't hear it.
You can't hear it. Well, there's a possibility that people at home can't hear it then either. But I can hear it in my headphones. Let us know in the chat if you can hear the Bitcoin. Otherwise, you have to go there and you have to click on the car yourself to see what it says. Also, we're up to about 94 here in our score of picking up garbage here on the beach. We got to click and pick up all these things, or the price of Bitcoin doesn't go higher. once again, doing things like cleaning up the garbage on this chart directly drives up the price of Bitcoin.
Also, if you click the like and subscribe button and you hit the bell, price of Bitcoin will go up even more, I've been told. So make sure you click those likes.
There was a while where the price of Bitcoin was the same as our number of subscribers. So we need to keep that number going up so we can keep the price of Bitcoin going up. Let's see. We tried to play the Elmo video earlier. They said we didn't have the audio, but we have a workaround now. We have a way to do that. So stand by. We're going to click a lot of buttons. They put in extra buttons for you to click on programs like this to make it harder to use. Are you sure you want to do that? Oh, this video is age restricted and not able to play here. Fail. So we can't watch Elmo, and we can't watch Elmo with sound because we are not adults. So let me try one.
You can't view the Elmo video?
I can do it here without the sound. The sound won't pipe through, and the sound is quite loud anyway.
Oh, you can't include it. Okay, that's
yeah, I can't include it because it only includes appropriate.
Elmo is for kids, right?
Yeah, for kids. So Elmo's invested in Bitcoin here around 10,000. It goes to 14, 16. Elmo's very happy. 18, Elmo, 19. He's on the roof. 17, 14, 9,000, 3,000, 1,000. That didn't happen. Elmo goes off the roof. So this is the life cycle of Bitcoin. This is what it's been like for the last 3 years. Fortunately, we only got down to Elmo level 3,000. That you can see here is not good either. But we want to get back up to where was it around here? Elmo level 18 to 19,000. That's when Elmo was very happy.
Until he wasn't. Do you know who made the original video? The original is not a Bitcoin video. It's from a podcast, I believe. These guys they make regular YouTube videos, but I have no idea who made them. Tried to look them up a while back, but I couldn't find it. So
it does seem like very much any kind of investing. You start out and the investing is going well, then it turns the other direction and it goes down. So we've got some comments here in the chat. General Byzantian says the Bitcoin FOMO isn't in effect yet.
I think he's right. We only see very little news on the mainstream media. So this is primarily larger corporations buying up the Bitcoin. So I expect a lot from this bull run. So I think you're right, General.
And that also answers kind of the next question. Can someone explain why Grayscale is paying premium prices for crypto? And there does seem to be a shortage of Bitcoin on the market right now. That's likely why Grayscale or PayPal and Cash App are trying to buy more Bitcoin than are coming in right now. So the supply of Bitcoin is not meeting the demand. So that is a problem. Additionally, if you were to buy Bitcoin through Grayscale, which is kind of like an ETF, it's kind of a thing you can use your retirement funds or your stock market type funds, you would pay more for that Bitcoin. You would pay a premium because you get to use your stock market funds. You get to use all of your familiar explorers and your Bloomberg terminals and all that kind of stuff. So for that, it's a different kind of Bitcoin. And of course, that Bitcoin isn't the kind of Bitcoin that you can withdraw and put in your account.
I think that's the premium they charge, yes. And it will always be more expensive than owning your own private keys. Personally, I'd go for the private keys, but I've heard several that use their 401k, which I believe is a US pension saving scheme, to divert like some of their 401k to like investment like Grayscale. So I assume you can't do that with, say, regular Bitcoin, and therefore you need to go through the official channels like Grayscale. So It's good if we look at how much cash they've or a Bitcoin they've. Let me see, Bitcoin treasuries. Um,
Of course, the advantage of the buying Bitcoin with your 401k is your 401k money is pre-tax, so it hasn't been taxed yet. So if you try to withdraw it, you'll pay a penalty for withdrawing early, usually if you haven't reached the age of 55. So if you could buy Bitcoin with that money, you could still invest in the Bitcoin market, but you'd pay a premium on Grayscale rather than taking the tax hit. Although there is an interesting wrinkle this year, allegedly, and I'm not a tax attorney or whatever, part of the US government's COVID relief programs is that they're allowing people to cash out their retirement without paying this penalty. Look it up before you do it or whatever, find an expert. But I'm still withholding mine, so it'll be there. But it's possible that could be returned to me later if they don't charge that. Of course, I suggest everyone to pay their taxes, pay your fair share.
If you, yeah, what we're seeing a lot too now is that people, instead of selling their crypto, they're making a deposit in sites like Nexo or BlockFi, and then taking out a loan on their deposited crypto. So this way they can get some cash out for their crypto. I believe it's sometimes like up to 50% loan to value, and they don't sell their Bitcoin. So basically they're taking a loan. And at first I couldn't understand why this was beneficial, but from what I understood, if you sell your Bitcoin in the US, that is a taxable event. So by not selling your Bitcoin and actually taking out a loan, you're not selling your Bitcoin, so that therefore it doesn't create a taxable event. So this is quite interesting from a tax perspective. In Europe, it's different. If you sell your Bitcoin, you're just holding the Bitcoin is a taxable event here in the Netherlands. So yeah, it's different per country. But we're not tax advisors. We don't give any financial advice either. So do double check with a professional.
That does seem like an interesting idea, though, loaning out your crypto and getting some cash for it. We have seen some action right here in the Bitcoin price. The Bitcoin price dropped to around 19,199, briefly below the $200 level there, then quickly rebounded to 19,257, our current price. We are looking for a price of around 19,800 to 20,000 to call it the all-time high, to play all of the sounds and the celebrations and so on and so forth. We're going to set off rockets. There's going to be fireworks. Actually, we don't have anything planned, but that would be success. We just got another block right there on the Bitcoin network, thanks to Bitcoinal letting us know about the new blocks in Bitcoin.
Yeah, I just noticed this, like 842,351 Bitcoin invested by the 23 largest, stock exchange registered companies. So it's quite a lot. It's 4.01% of total supply, which is quite a lot. And this also explains that we've seen less volatility recently, because those people or those companies aren't buying Bitcoin to buy and then drop them again next week if we have an all-time high. They're there for the long run. So this is one of the reasons I think this price will remain very, very bullish for at least this year or longer.
That's right. I think it's a supply crunch. There just aren't enough Bitcoins to go around. It might be too late. Everyone should try to get some. But we're going to go ahead and try to check out another YouTube video here. Let's see if this one will play. This is a video from 2014. This is Tatiana. She's going to sing the Bitcoin jingle. This is one of the most popular. Let's see. Are you sure you want to remove your video? Yes. Oh, why doesn't it remove? It's okay. It's going to work this time. This is the open source Jitsi software.
Yeah. Open source means fix it yourself if you have problems.
I know I should contact the admin. No, it seems
I'll
like
slap my boss. Chester just posted. I'll slap my boss in the face when we reach a new all-time high. This
there we
Chester's.
go. Make sure to film that, upload that to us on Twitter, and we'll share that out to the internet.
It reminds me of this South Park episode where I believe it's Obama wins, and then Randy goes berserk, and he's like, change, yes, there will be change. And then he starts dancing on the police car and peeing against the car, and then tells his boss to fuck off, basically, and because there will be change, and then there is no change. He has to go back to his work. I wouldn't slap my boss in the face if I were you, Chester. You know, there will be lows again after the all-time high. So
yeah, it might be better just to take the day off at that point. Just say, hey, I need a personal day, and then go have some fun on your own. Now it looks like the Elmo video with the age restriction broke the open source software.
Oh.
So we can't play clips, so that means that we're probably going to have to read poems or other such nonsense as we try to get the Bitcoin price to rise over 20,000 here. So we need everyone in the chat needs to work together. Give us a thumbs up and a share. Let's get the chat over 20,000. We can go ahead and post this address around. We can try to get more people to join us here in the Jitsi. What do you think, Martin? Should we try out the Jitsi? Just have people join?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's see if it works. Okay, so we put a link in the chat. If you click this link, you'll join the show. So please try to have your, be in a nice quiet room with a good microphone and be appropriate and cool. And let's hang out. Let's check out the price of Bitcoin together because we can't play clips anymore.
But
I hate Jitsi.
I think you can remove the video you shared, right?
Yeah, it's broken.
If you use the little dots on the video, if you point to the video and then the little three little dots, the hamburger icon or whatever they call it, the dots on the miniature, and then close it. I think you should be able to do that, huh?
Oh, mine doesn't have any miniature dots. And then when I go to stop the video, it goes into a loop of, do you want to stop this video? Yes. And then it doesn't go away because it's age restricted. And they never tested on an age restricted video. So it's like in there. Maybe if I stop sharing my screen, it's still there.
Oh,
it's okay. It's live television.
Zoom wasn't that bad.
Well, maybe we'll try. Maybe I think we're taunting the all-time high by giving it too much interest here in the whole Heisenberg uncertainty sense of things. So we might have to do a morning show and then do a later show, come back later if the price of Bitcoin isn't ready to give us that all-time high yet.
I noticed Google Meet now has custom backgrounds too, just like Zoom. So that's it looked like everybody's slowly catching up on Zoom.
Oh yeah, Jitsi's trying to do that too. They have blur your background, but it says experimental or something next to it. So yeah. I'd be careful if you click on that.
And I tried it, and it did distort the video a bit. I'll just put the link in the chat for the other. Remove any web addresses and try again. I can't post any link in the chat, but if any of the viewers want to have a look at corporate interest in Bitcoin, it's bitcointreasuries.org. So Google won't, YouTube won't allow me to post any links.
So you can definitely share your screen if you want.
Let me see.
Let's see. General Byzantium in the chat says, "Okay, everyone, distract yourself from the chart by shopping for Lambos on eBay."
A Lambo, you should buy them from an official dealer. Don't buy your Lambo on eBay. You'll know that it's damaged goods.
Secondhand used Lamborghini. You don't want to know what other people do to their Lamborghinis.
No, a large number of those Lamborghinis tend to be like, damaged, or they end up in an accident because people just don't know how to drive them. So let me see if I can share my screen. Bitcoin treasuries, share
A sports
screen.
car, everyone says they're fun, but I just think they'd be dangerous to drive. What I'm more looking for is that self-driving car. Now that's a good thing to buy. The car drives itself? Really?
I have the impression you bought some Tesla stock, Thomas, because you've been really promoting them.
Oh, I should have held what I had before on the Tesla stock. No, but no, I think it's good. It's been good, and it went up more recently. So yeah, I should have held more Tesla. But they say also in the chat that you should not use AliExpress to buy your Tesla.
Oh, I buy so much stuff on AliExpress. It's share my screen. Let me see if I can share my Brave tab. Yes, all-time high. Now Bitcoin treasuries.
The price of Bitcoin is 19,195. Looks like it's dipping a little.
And yes, it's. Let me see here. Those here are the companies that invested in Bitcoin. You can see it for yourself at bitcointreasuries.org. Twitter user NVK made it. It's a really nice chart. He keeps it up to date. And if you have any new information about like you find news sources of companies that purchase crypto, you could just like copy paste the source and add it to the GitHub. That way he gets notified and will be able to include it. It doesn't include like small amounts. Like, in the UK recently, there was a company that bought 10% of their reserve into Bitcoin, and it was like just a few Bitcoins. It's like,
so it looks like almost a million, around 800,000 Bitcoin are off the market. We are seeing continued excitement in the Bitcoin price chart. The price of Bitcoin is 19,171. For a little while, it dipped below 19,100. So we are kind of going the wrong direction.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. We need more likes for the video, then the price will go up automatically.
Also, the price not going up makes the video longer. So we're gonna be here longer. We're gonna be staring at Elmo longer and reading poems. Oh, I do have a book. I could do a big book segment. See if that pleases the price chart. Remember, all of our actions directly affect the price of Bitcoin.
Is there still time to purchase some?
It's always a great time to buy Bitcoin.
Hey, that's true, Thomas. The best moment was in 2009, and the second best moment is today. So
the best time's the first time you hear about it, and you won't do it. And the next best time is the second time you hear about it, and you won't do it. And then there's a few more times after that, but eventually maybe you'll get some. So everyone get excited, get ready. Here we go. Live in the studio is my big book. It's Tulipica. This is the big book of tulips. That's right. All of the different tulip variations. Remember, tulips were prized for their color and their coloring. So let's look at a few here. There we go. There's a nice big yellow tulip. Here's a red and white tulip. Notice the unique design. These tulips would be more valuable than other tulips. Some tulips here you could trade for an entire house in Amsterdam. One of the best places to have a house you could buy with simply a tulip. Let's look at some more big pictures of tulips here.
The red in the yellow tulip. Do you see the red spots in the yellow tulip there? Mm-hmm. Actually, this is like a tulips normally have one single colored leaves, but people like to have multiple colors in them. So what they did is they introduce a disease into the bulb before it starts growing. Oh, that's a nice shape, yeah. And by introducing a disease into the bulb before it starts growing, you can actually create multicolored tulips. So this is how they do it. Tulips were the first PD babies, Gerbot says. Yeah, this is a nice one.
But there it is, some tulips there from Tulipa, which is a
So,
photographer's botanical. And this is an entire book. It's nothing. It's huge. It's heavy, and it's nothing but pictures of tulips. So
yeah, that color in the yellow tulip is actually a disease. Actually, it's a sick tulip, but they introduced that to make more variations.
and they would have the bulb market, and they would sell the bulbs from which you could grow the tulips at thousands of, I don't know, kroners back then, maybe. But they
That
were
was
amazing.
Gilders.
Guilders, that's it.
Yeah,
That's the Dutch
yeah.
currency. I was
Yeah,
close. I was in the north, but
yeah, you were close. Yes.
geographically, I was close. But that only counts in what is it? Darts and hand grenades.
They still have korunas in Czech Republic. Korunas. So yeah,
very close to kroners.
and, yeah, very very close. Oh, we're dropping, huh?
The price does appear to be dropping. We might have gone over a little top here. We might not actually be seeing the all-time high, but remember, just like believing in fairies and Tinkerbell, the price of Bitcoin only goes up if you like, subscribe, and hit the bell below, and then tell your friends and get 3 of your friends to do it, and then tell 5 other people, all that kind of thing. That's the only way that Bitcoin goes up, is more people buying it, less people selling it. Now, that happened recently because PayPal and some other large firms continue to get into Bitcoin, buying more and more Bitcoin to then sell to you. So let's all keep our fingers crossed and hope for the PayPal Corporation that they've actually been buying a matching amount of Bitcoin to what they've been selling you. Because the PayPal that you buy on paypal.com, you can't withdraw and you can't deposit in. So it's Bitcoin in name only. It's a bino, but you can get your binos on paypal.com. It's better to go almost anywhere else and buy it, and then you can withdraw it. Even Cash App has added that functionality, though. Give PayPal a chance. They're probably working on it. They'll probably add it soon. They just probably wanted to test the demand and the interest and their software and so forth before they open it all up to Bitcoin.
Well, the Revolut app, it's one of those prepaid debit cards. They never went to enable withdrawals. That always remained like PayPal is now. It's just internal use only. So that's I wouldn't be surprised if PayPal just leaves it like this, because the PayPal after all, So yeah, I for me, this I'm unable to verify if those Bitcoin really exist. So I think most of viewers. Girlbot says, "Does this mean the dollar is crashing?"
Well, we're also watching the Dow Jones Industrial Average here in the United States is up 1.64% today, with a last of 30,075.
You think this is because of the political situation changing in the US right now?
They've said that yesterday, Emily Murphy, enemy of democracy, who works at the Government Services Agency, released a letter certifying that Joe Biden would become the next president of the United States and beginning the official government transition. This means that Biden gets access to millions of dollars in transition fund. He gets a really nice new .gov email address, and all of his people who are going to work those jobs get to go in and talk to the people who are currently working those jobs. So that's all very good news for the possibility of a peaceful transition of power in the United States dictatorship. But the real excitement is over his choice for Treasury Secretary. Janet Yellen, former chairman of the Federal Reserve, in fact, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, who was talking about Bitcoin when that kid Bitcoin sign guy held up a buy Bitcoin sign in the hearing, is going to be the new Treasury director. He's going to be the cabinet secretary of Treasury. So Treasury Secretary guiding the economy which the stock market people think is good, and that she'll be trustworthy, and that generally, yes, there'll be a peaceful transition of power in the United States. I would say it's starting to become more and more likely. I'm not an optimist on this, but we're up to maybe 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 chance that there will be a peaceful transition of power. So
I
that's
think
very
this
good.
is the effect we're seeing on the market. Markets don't like in uncertainty. So, this little bit of certainty is good for the market because,
This
people.
could also be seen as positivity over the vaccine, that Joe Biden is going to get transition access now, and they're going to be able to discuss how to distribute the vaccine in the new Biden administration. There's also been the Oxford vaccine, the third vaccine announced, and it's better than the other vaccines. You have to take it twice, which is a little odd, and it works better the second time, and they don't really know why. But the best part is it doesn't have to be ice cold, below zero, freezing refrigerated. It can just be normal refrigerated, and it only costs $2.50. It's a fraction of the cost of the other vaccines. So it does sound like globally, we're probably going to be getting the Oxford vaccine. The other vaccines will be deployed as well. Remember, with all of these vaccines, they did this amazing thing. When they started making them, they also started mass producing them. Even if they didn't pass the trials, they would have extra leftover vaccine that didn't work. But if it did work, they would have a bunch of vaccine ready to go. So they went ahead and potentially wasted the money and did that for the good of saving people. So we are in a position where these vaccines are going to start rolling out to healthcare workers and other high demand people, and then eventually to normal people. And maybe we can get up to a 70% herd immunity without having to kill the entire herd. That'd be great.
As a host of the World Crypto Network, you belong to the high demand people, is my guess.
I stay home. Well, fortunately, unfortunately, my talking on the internet job allows me to stay home and safe, and I can watch Godfather movies from the house. So we have the technology.
It's hard to believe you actually watched all 3 of them yesterday. That's just like
they were fantastic. They were just fantastic. I mean, the first one is so good. It's basically a perfect movie, 10 out of 10. That once you watch it, you're ready to just watch more. Now, the second one, also very good. It's just kind of disjointed storylines. There's this great old-timey storyline with Robert De Niro playing the young Marlon Brando Godfather. And then there's this modern storyline with Michael and the congressional hearings. And it's just kind of a weird mixture of a couple stories, but it's moving the family forward into the third film, which I don't like, but does kind of serve as an interesting coda on the end of the story. It goes back and kind of punishes the characters and punishes their success and shows how violence always leads to destruction and always leads to failure. And it also has a weird thing with cousins having sex and Coppola's daughter who can't act. So it's not a great film, but it was interesting to watch. I usually don't watch the third one. It's also 3 hours long. It's hard to say that without cursing, but yeah. But Godfather 1 and 2 are great. Everyone should watch those. 3 is okay if you're, and there's apparently maybe there'll be a new cut of because we went longer than an hour. But we're back on Jitsi, connected to YouTube through a stream key, doing a screen share on my single laptop screen that doesn't have any ports. I was reminded again about how much I hate Apple. I love Apple, but I hate Apple because they took away all my ports. So when I needed a network cable on my computer, I had to go find the port and plug it in, and then I could use the network cable. So that was annoying. But fortunately, I've bought all the appropriate dongles and cables and backup dongles for when the dongles break. Dongles for the dongles. The price of Bitcoin is 19,191. We're continuing to track it here. We started off more in the 19,350s, 19,400 range. Had a bit of a downturn here to 19,200, but we are looking for 19,800 to 20,000 so that we can declare a Bitcoin all-time high. which, as you know, means that it will never go down again. It will only go up, and that you'll always feel either good for buying or bad for not buying, and that feeling will be with you eternally. It will never suddenly reverse and make you feel good about not buying and bad about buying. That will never happen again until it does happen again. Because basically, for whatever reason, and I guess there's books about this, humans seem to adopt new technology stock-wise, money-wise, in these wave patterns. And there's these crazy ups and downs to these waves as people gain confidence or lose confidence in the investment. Right now, lots of people, especially major institutions, seem to be gaining confidence in Bitcoin as an investment. Thus, we see the price at 19,000 suddenly, when it seems like just a few weeks ago it was 9,000. And a few months before that, it was 6 and it was 3. And before that, it was 18,000 again. So it's been a wild couple of years. The media, fortunately, has showed up now to compress an entire 3-year lifespan into the last 2 or 3 days. Bitcoin's been going up really for the past 3 years or whatever when it hits its bottom, but the media has only seen it go up in the last week. So to them, it's even more exciting not having the ability to zoom out and see beyond such a short period of time.
Oh, Thomas, the Gerbot says we give financial advice, but we don't give financial advice. We just tell you to buy Bitcoin, but don't consider that financial advice because we're not financial advisors, right?
Not to just to enjoy the media and enjoy them as a counter indicator, just as you should probably be buying when I'm selling and selling when I'm buying, and doing the opposite of whatever I do. In the same way, when the media is really excited about it, when all your friends from high school are calling you about it, when all your friends want to talk about it, and everyone who you tried to get to buy before and they wouldn't buy, they'll suddenly buy now. That might be a good time to sell some of your Bitcoin. That might be a good time to take profits. I hate to put that out there into your mind because you love to hodl. And one of the great things about the hodl is it's a simple philosophy that you don't have to think about very much. But it can also be very stressful when you've lost 70% of your investment from hodling and you think that you're going to lose the rest. So it can be tough at times, but that's why I like hodl plus profits. When you're ridiculously up, when you're more up than you've ever been in your entire life and you feel like you're on the moon, that's a good time to take 5%, 10%, 1%. Take these little tastes of the thing that the real traders call profits, right? The hodlers are like, no, I'll never sell a Satoshi. And that's great if you can manage to do that. Most people have jobs or don't have jobs, and everyone has bills. So you can't always manage to never sell a Satoshi. But if you did have to sell a Satoshi, 19,000 ain't bad. I used to think for a while, I was like, anything over 15K is a pretty sweet sell. And of course, you never sell as much as you wish you had, and you never buy as much as you wish you had. And it's very easy to think about things in hindsight and to let your brain go that way. But 19.2, possible all-time high.
No, I'm not selling. I'm not selling.
There we go. We've got there standing up for the hodlers there, Martin.
Not selling it. We're going to
let us know in the chat. Say hodl or sell. Are you going to hodl or sell? There's all this price chalk, so let's just turn right into it. Hodl or sell in the chat, or haven't even bought yet. Some people in the chat haven't even bought yet. They just they don't want to make any
no-coiners.
Yeah, I know.
No-coiners or
pre-coiners. That's what it is. All the no-coiners are now pre-coiners. Even though that sounds wrong, we need a better word. But yeah, pre-coin. I got pre-coin on my shirt.
My shirt says Sika Bilat, which is like a Russian, which is a really insulting word in Russian, but it's like it's a Russian swear word. So
it proves you can put any Russian word you want on any shirt, and you'll never get blurred out anywhere. No one will ever
It was like from Counter-Strike, the days where we played Counter-Strike. You played Counter-Strike, and you always heard these Russian players coming online. Sika Bilat noob. And nobody knew what it meant. But, I'm not going to translate it here because YouTube will kick us offline. I flooded. But it was really insulting. So when I saw the T-shirt with insult on it, I thought, wow, I got to have it. And actually, I wore it when in Prague. And on my way back in the formerly eastern part of Germany, I stopped at a McDonald's just for a quick snack. And there were two truck drivers sitting in a corner looking really angry at me, and I thought, like, what the fuck? Well, why are you so angry with looking angry at me? But it was, then I realized it was the insult on the shirt. So yeah, in Russian words, I only want swear words on my shirt. If I ever go to Moscow, I'll wear this shirt.
All right, I've opened up a can of cold brew coffee here, poured it over ice, and we're drinking coffee now. So this is a party. Everyone's going to get excited. This is going to enhance the price of Bitcoin. It's still morning out here on the West Coast. We're just getting up and checking in with Bitcoin, which generally is going down since we turned the show on. Generally, we're giving you that opportunity that Martin was looking for to buy more Satoshis under 20K.
Yes, I think anything under 20K is a bargain, really.
That's what it said in the chat not too long ago, that in the future, your kids will thank you for buying under 20K Bitcoin.
Yes, yeah. Let me scroll back, see who that was.
Sounds exciting.
Just
getting lots of delivery messages that my new iPhone will be delivered soon. Although by soon they mean next week. But
so we didn't even reach all-time high. You're already spending your earnings.
Well, I'm into this program on the new iPhones, and I'm not sure that it really saves me money, but I do know that it gets me the best possible camera as soon as possible. So
I always get these cheap Xiaomi phones. They're the Chinese phones, and they're really nice because they're like on Android, always the latest Android, always the latest updates, and they have dual SIM, all of them. So I get one with a plan, which has the 3 minutes, but then I use the second SIM for the for data or when I'm abroad, and especially with the SIM hijacking things going on, where they hijack your SIM to crack your account at the Bitcoin exchange. This way you can have a second SIM that nobody knows about and that's not on your business card, and use that for the password resets. So if they ever hijack your SIM card, then they'll hijack the wrong number and it will get them nowhere. So this is, I think, is good, and at a fraction of the price. I believe something like almost 1/10 of the price of what you pay for an iPhone. So yeah,
well, you can definitely get by with less, but if you want the best possible pictures, you got to get the best possible camera, and the best possible camera is the one you carry around with you. And if that's what I want, that's what I want. So that's what I'm paying for. So basically, I rent the iPhone from the company every year. It comes with theft and loss protection. And if I drop it or break it or whatever, they'll get me a new one. So that's a good thing too. Although, of course, I like my iPhone and treat it very nice. So I've never needed that theft and loss protection. But man, it's just a rental. So this is the hardest part near when my phone seems brand new and still perfectly good. It's only a year over. It's only a year older, but I'm going to now trade it in for the new iPhone because it's slightly better. And because the way my lease plan works, which again, might not be the best for everybody, but I use this phone every single day. I know what things I use the most of, and it's this phone. So if it's a little faster and the camera is a little better, it'll be here next week. So that's something to look forward to as we get another block here on Bitcoin.
Yes.
19,181. Very close to the all-time high of around 19,800, but mostly heading in the wrong direction.
Let's have a look at the mempool, see how busy it is.
You got a screen share? Bring it up, Martin.
Yes,
we'll switch over
I'll bring up a You see, share screen, share tab, share the mempool, share. I always use this mempool space website. It shows you all the blocks. It looks a bit geeky, but they have a graph page, and it shows you how many transactions are waiting. There's how many transaction fee bytes per second, and you can like switch on and off the transactions here. So let's have a look. What's the block size now? Normally I see a nice line which shows the block size. Let me see over 1 year period. The mempool is going up again, but we're not as bad as I would have thought it would be. See, over the past week, we see the mempool has been going up quite a lot. So prices, every time Bitcoin price goes up and Bitcoin gets more popular, we see the mempool space filling up. You can see the different colors in the graph. They indicate the transaction size, or like the fee that people pay. So the 1 sat per fee by transaction is usually a bit spammy, so you can ignore them. Then we see prices up to 18.90. So 50, 60 is relatively okay. It's not too high. So that's just, I think is good. Network keeps holding on very well. I like to watch this chart. I also like watching the TX streets. Don't know if you're familiar with that one. It shows you the average fee on the network, and then you can compare Ether. Now, in this case, it compares Ethereum and Bitcoin. You see the number. Now close this. You see the number of transactions. On average, people pay 68 sats per fee byte on the Bitcoin network, and what they pay on the Ethereum network. But you can switch the Ethereum network for, say, Bitcoin Cash. It's funny because it's always empty there. It's like so much space on Bitcoin Cash. Look! There's just a few.
That's funny that they've added Ethereum and the other currencies. I think this website used to be just Bitcoin Cash versus Bitcoin, and it was such a blowout that they had to add in these other currencies.
Well, actually, they used it. At first, it was designed to show that yes, Bitcoin Cash has so much more space, but it made it painfully clear that nobody was using Bitcoin Cash. So that's. So they eventually added Ethereum. Look, $2.99 medium transaction fee. That's okay, but not too long ago, the Ethereum transaction price, they went to something like $20 for a transaction, which made painfully clear that the network didn't scale at all. So I think $2.99 is a good price to transfer some digital gold to a new owner. So that's. Average number of transactions per second. Mempool space is almost 14 megabytes, and there is 57,000 transactions waiting to be processed. So I like this site. We keep it on in the office, usually at reception. So this way we can keep an eye on the transaction fees. And usually, when transaction fees rise too high, then usually means problems. So okay, I'll stop sharing this tab.
Interesting stuff. We're also checking out Twitter, where there's a great story or a great little tweet here by Maxine Ryan. And she says, tag the person who taught you about Bitcoin and say thank you for getting you in early. And this tweet has gone viral, 109 retweets, 724 likes, and 400 comments. So excellent tweet by Maxie Ryan. I went to this tweet. I said, thanks to Andreas Antonopoulos for the early Bitcoin speeches in 2013. Also, thanks to Derek Freeman and Davi Barker for showing me that you could do a talk show on YouTube. I saw them doing it, and I said, hey, I want to do that too. It was revelatory. We also had some really nice tweets from only 11.65% left at Stacking Hats. And he says, thanks, Mad Bitcoins, Max Kaiser, and Stacy Herbert, kindred spirits who helped me realize I wasn't crazy. So it was quite a thing back in the day. It seems hard for people to understand now with PayPal in and all these major institutions and banks buying thousands of Bitcoin. But there was a time where even just liking Bitcoin and risking your money in it, you were seen as a crazy person. So it was great to have voices like Max Kaiser and Stacy Herbert, and of course, Mad Bitcoins, thanks to me, and World Crypto Network, also Vortex, and other people like that who are out there talking about Bitcoin, just kind of humanizing it and saying, I think it's really cool too. You know, I understand part of the technical stuff, but not all of it. And yet at the same time, I still see great value in it. I'm very interested in it. And having those people that you could agree with and understand with was very cool as well. I think we had a couple more of these. Let's see. Here's one from Jeroen Houghton. I probably said his name horribly wrong. He says his girlfriend, Teternal Spring, said that I should look at Bitcoin in 2011. I did, but not well enough. I missed the 9 decimal places, so I thought it would never scale. After diving in 2 years later, people who helped me a lot were Mad Bitcoins, World Crypto Network, and Chris Dunn TV. Thanks to all. So
thanks, Jeroen.
Yeah, very cool to be mentioned. And a lot of people have this story where they knew about Bitcoin early, they looked at it, people tell them to get into it, or they just I saw it on Slashdot, thought it was cool technology, but there'd been so many other electronic coins and Liberty Dollar and Liberty Reserve and all kinds of e-gold and beans and PayPal
DigiCash
itself, the original one, DigiCash. There have been so many different versions of the digital cash. No one knew that Bitcoin was the one. And even if you did, it was a huge leap to go and get a miner then, or to go and figure out how to buy Bitcoin and meet some guy somewhere and trade him cash for Bitcoin, all kinds of stuff like that. But the people who took those risks, it turns out, were rewarded for them. So it's very cool to have that happen. That doesn't often happen, where you take crazy risks and you're rewarded for it. The point of a risk is that, yes, it could go down. We've got some other fun Twitter stories. Let's take a look at them. As we continue to monitor the price of Bitcoin, looks like a watched pot never boils. The price of Bitcoin is 19,130, a little low than the 19,800 that we're looking for. But then again, it doesn't just perform on demand. You can't just say, I'm starting a show, why don't you go higher price? It doesn't work that way. But some people think it does. They have triangles and things like that that will help them.
Yeah. Those triangles, I don't believe in that. You have your magic 8 ball. I think this has been the best investment advice ever.
The Magic 8 Ball is stuck at home in Sacramento with my mixing board and my second monitor and all my other fun stuff that I didn't bring with me because I didn't think I'd be here forever. But yeah, it's safe is where it is. And no one can access its predictions right now. You all need to subscribe to the mailing list for the Magic 8 Ball and other things like that. Then we'll regain access and we'll see what it says. This is a funny one. I'm not going to show the flash right now, but Jason Scott over at Text Files and from textfiles.com, he works at the Internet Archive, and they had a fantastic new program they launched recently. They're now accepting and hosting Flash animations at the Internet Archive.
The Frog Blender. I remember that.
The Frog Blender by Joe Cartoon. Yeah. And I remember the frog talks to you, and he's like, don't do it. Don't push that button. Don't do it. And then, of course, you push the button because it's just a computer frog. Nobody gets hurt, but everyone's very sensitive now. So he says here, they had an internal bet over how long after they got Flash going that someone would upload Frog Blender 2000. And the answer is 4 days. So it took 4 days for the internet to recognize that this classic had not been uploaded yet. Joe Cartoon was one of the classic Flash animation producers back in the day. He had another one with these 2 flies that would get high, and it was like Cheech and Chong, but they were flies. And I don't know, just all kinds of fun stuff. Flash was a great animation thing. We also used to watch Homestar Runner and Strong Bad Emails. So it's great to see those preserved, and you can watch them for yourselves on the Internet Archive for free, 24 hours a day. hopefully forever. So interesting.
Gearbot says, push the button, push the button.
Oh no, that's what he used to say. That's what the frog would say. You're not gonna push it. You're chicken.
Yeah, that's
So
what's weird. Um, this monolithic thing. I think an artist put it there. I don't think it's been,
they
spacey.
found a monolith in a remote part of Utah. A helicopter pilot, they were doing a survey, they were flying over the land, and the geologist said, "Stop, stop immediately." And they went down, they checked it out. There's a perfect, shining 2001-esque monolith in Utah somewhere. And nobody knows how it got there. They were counting bighorn sheep while they found it. So aliens perhaps have landed, deposited a monolith. If you've seen 2001 Space Odyssey, I guess spoiler alerts for a 50, 60-year-old movie if you haven't. But this could cause the monkeys to evolve, and the monkeys might start using tools and weapons soon. Or maybe humans will get bigger brains and work together to go to space instead of destroying ourselves here on this single planet that we have.
I don't think humans will get bigger brains. I'm sorry, I'm not that optimistic.
So you're more likely that it's going to be like Planet of the Apes and the monkeys are going to rise up against us.
Well, actually, we had friends of mine that had this idea, like when the last space shuttle landed, to all dress up in ape suits and then, wave and welcome them back. So it looked like they landed on Planet of the Apes, but, he didn't push it through. But it would have been cool, just welcome the astronauts in the space shuttle and then wave from a distance in our Planet of the Apes suits, So that's... I don't know. I don't know what was I thinking back then. But,
it sounds like a great prank. I would love to do it to somebody, and especially if you could get the real space agency to do it, and everyone's in on the prank, and they come back and you just put them in a room with monkeys, and they're like, "Oh my god, it's monkeys! It's crazy." So there's a great article today about the color palette of the classic Garfield strip, and I'd never really noticed this or thought about it before, but look at all the crazy colors of Garfield. As the guy who wrote the article says, the background colors of the rooms will sometimes change in the same strip just to add to the comic effect and the bizarre look of the Garfield world. So check that out on Twitter if you're interested in Garfield. We've got a link to that. One of the cool articles that I saw today. Let's see what else is going on Twitter. Mainly it looks like me talking about The Godfather. There might be a Bitcoin shortage. PayPal and the Cash App are now buying more than 100% of the new supply. So you always worry, where are the miners going to sell their Bitcoin so they can pay for electricity so they can mine more Bitcoins? Well, it turns out PayPal and Cash App are ready to buy. So this means if you're a normal person and you want to buy Bitcoin, you're now competing with these two giant companies who just might run up the price by reducing the supply. It's never too late, though. Hey, the World Crypto Network is going live. Give us a thumbs up and a share. Let's check in with the chat. Looks like Gerbot's in the chat. And hardly anyone else. General Byzantian says, meanwhile, they spliced human genes into chimps to make them smarter. Coincidence? So it sounds like we have a real life Planet of the Apes type situation as well as a monolith in Utah. So we got trouble out there. We got trouble in River City. So we're going to see how it goes with this developing situation. Hopefully the apes will take Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin has declined a little bit even further. We are helping Bitcoin be on sale for you. The price of Bitcoin is 19,163, just off of a high of 19,400, which is just off of an all-time high of 19,800 to 20,000, depending on which exchange you want to use, and a low of 18,130. What do you think, Martin? Is it going to go up or down?
I'm not sure. It will definitely hit the all-time high this week, but whether it will happen during this show, I'm not sure. If people would click that like and subscribe button, then yes, prices would go up because it would be on the front page of YouTube. But for now, definitely it's going a bit sideways now, huh?
And people think that it's not a real story or it's a fairy tale, but in the book Peter Pan, they describe the way that fairies work. And if you believe in fairies, you clap your hands and that makes more fairies. If you don't believe in fairies, you say that you don't believe in fairies, and that actually kills fairies and destroys magic. So out there in the audience, you have to decide which side you're on. Do you believe in the Bitcoin price or do you not believe in the Bitcoin price? And clap your hands if you believe in the price. Can I hear them clapping? I can hear them clapping. They're clapping all over. If you clap loud enough, the price will go up. If it doesn't go up, it's your fault for not clapping loud enough. So welcome to the game. You wish you didn't click on this, because now you'll always wonder if it was your lack of interest in clapping, your lackadaisical clapping, your not caring about the clapping, your nonchalance over the clapping that caused the price to not go up. See right there, it went up a little bit. People must be clapping. 19,164. I think what's important here is the Satoshis. Look at that, 5,218 Satoshis to $1. Now, when we do the announcement on this show, we always do the Satoshi count because it's fun to know. And it wasn't too long ago that it was 15,000 Satoshis for $1. So that, in terms of what you could buy for $1, you could get 3 times as many Satoshis just a few months ago. We used to talk about the 15,000 Satoshi barrier being a thing. The 10,000 Satoshi barrier is a thing. And then now, just Zoom, we're looking at the 5,000 Satoshi barrier. So those Satoshis are starting to get very expensive. And even if you were investing at a very small level, like say $1, you could have gotten 15,000 Satoshis, which would now be worth $3 just a few weeks later.
It's true. I have for my small payments and small purchases, I use the Breeze app. It's this Lightning wallet app, and I always had small amounts in it, and now it's almost $100. And all of the sats in there came from online games like Bitcoin Bounce and the other free games that just give you Satoshis just for playing. Every single day you get like 10 Satoshis or 15 Satoshis or 30 sometimes. And it does add up, all this Satoshis back from purchases online through stacking.com. I keep them in the wallet, and I can't believe it's almost $100 already. And it was like next to nothing, and I totally forgot about it. But I'll keep my off-chain Lightning. What wallet do you use for Lightning payments, Thomas? Do you have a preference?
I think I've got the wallet of Satoshi on my phone, and it's like a very simple iPhone Lightning wallet. I think I have like 1 million Satoshis in there, because it's a fun round number, and it makes me feel like I got 1 million or something. But yeah, like you're saying, Martin, a lot of these smaller accounts where I've basically tried to hide Bitcoin from myself because I can't be trusted to make myself rich. That seems very clear at this point. Despite what you want or whatever the desire, you find ways to make yourself not rich. You want to buy that extra sandwich, you want to buy that extra computer, whatever it is, you need to pay rent. You find a way to make yourself not rich. But what I've been doing kind of accidentally is trying, at least the last few years, I've been trying to hold my donations and my little extra stuff here and there. So if I get $5-10 from doing a YouTube video, I put it, I don't put it in an account. I pretend I don't have it. And then, like you're saying, it actually accidentally becomes $45 or $50, which is still not a lot of money, but is a pretty sweet deal for doing a YouTube video a few years ago and accidentally saving the money. And as long as you hide it from yourself, somewhere where you can get at it later, it's a great way of accidentally investing and accidentally profiting in Bitcoin, because it's a really hard thing to take. But what that guy said, and I forgot his name, but he's one of these investment guys, but he said that, something like Bitcoin goes up 3 days a year. But if you miss those 3 days, you don't make any money for the whole year. So all the taking your money out and putting it in and taking it out and putting it in, knowing how much you have and stressing about it, all of that doesn't really matter if you miss those 3 days. And we've had some of those crazy days in these last few weeks where, accidentally and with a caution and a trend towards holding, you accidentally end up with more money. So it's pretty cool. And I just try to accidentally do that and just keep, lucking into this and trying to not luck out of it. But it goes both ways. And we're back to 19,200. Thanks to everybody clapping. We can hear you in the audience. It was at 19,160 when everyone started clapping. So
yeah, it really is like $100 up. So if we do that again, we'll probably, we'll probably see this all-time high tonight.
And to say nothing about liking the video and participating in the chat, that's also very important. Gerbot says that it's like playing the nickel slots. Well, it is. And having a smaller investment, a lot of people are like, well, I want to get into Bitcoin. And they're like, well, I have to put all my whole stack in. I have to put my retirement in. I have to sell my home. I have to sell my car. I have to sell everything. And then that stresses you out. And then you don't invest in Bitcoin at all. I know one of my early problems with investing in Bitcoin is I wanted to put $1,000 in. But at the time, $1,000 was a lot of money to me, and it stressed me out trying to invest that. I prefer to work and then spend it. It was a lot simpler. But as it turned out, $1,000 would have been $10 million right now or whatever. So that's a whoopsie. But again, I probably would have sold it when it doubled. I probably would have got 1,000, made it to 2,000, celebrated like crazy, thought I was the smartest person in the land, and wasted my $2,000, maybe got an iPod, something like that back in the day, listened to my music on some earbuds. But it's way too easy to look back, and that's what everyone does with these gosh darn media articles, where they make it seem so easy. They're like, if you had just bought $10,000 in Bitcoin 10 years ago and not lost it, not had it stolen, not panic sold it for less, not joy sold it for more, not given it to your friend, not lost it in a Ponzi scheme, not invested it in bad altcoins or good altcoins, whatever, all these things, then you'd be a quadrazillionaire. Instead, they just do the math, and they said, if you took this amount and multiplied it by the current amount, the math says you'd be worth this. And that leaves out a lot of time and a lot of life and a lot of questions about living that life. And certainly I traveled and spent money. I prioritized that with my life, and it's been cool. I saw lots of cool stuff, but there's definitely less Bitcoins there. If you stayed in your room the whole time and used your library card and worked at Subway, you'd probably have more Bitcoins, but you'd be in a more of a rush to spend them now because you have less time left on your clock. Because the only real currency is time, and all you can use time for is experiences. So you can either have experiences or not have them. So
I think you're right on Selim. At the moment they hit the double. People are hardwired to sell when there's double is hardwired in the brain. So when the price doubles, people do sell. I think 80% or more of the people will sell. And investment wise, I think the best way to invest in Bitcoin is to just do small amounts on a regular basis. So not depending on whatever the price is of Bitcoin. If you invest $50 or $100 every month for an X number of years, Then, when the price is low, you'll get a little bit more Satoshis. When the price is high, it will be a bit less, but you take the emotion out of, and the time, trying to time the market out of investing. You'll just have like a dollar cost averaging, and it's proven that it's the most secure and in the long term profitable way to invest. Is just to take out the emotions and set yourself a target, like, I'm not going to sell it before it's worth that amount, and just invest on a regular basis the exact same amount in dollars or whatever your fiat currency is. And then one day, some days you'll get more Bitcoin for your money, other days it will be less. But by doing that, you take away the emotion out of investing, and this way you're on a steady path to good savings. And this is I think the best way to invest in Bitcoin. Just don't play the shitcoin casino, unless you have, of course, like, for example, if you really desperately want a crypto kitty or whatever the next craze is, then do go out and buy one, but don't expect it to be really valuable like next year, just like Bitcoin. So that's
well, and like you said, Martin, the dollar cost averaging is really the way to go. It's not any fun though. Everyone wants to take their entire wad of money at the first point and put it all in. Then it goes up or it goes down, and they freak out because their entire wad of money is in there, and it's very stressful. And you underestimate that stress. When the media says, if you just held it for 10 years, you'd be a billionaire, you're just multiplying. You're not looking at the stress. You'd be a billionaire with like tons of stress marks, and you'd be eating your nails and drinking your own urine. I mean, you'd have a lot of problems because of the stress. Whereas a lot of people would have just sold it and had a vacation and then went back to work or something. But so I do think that dollar cost averaging. But the other issue there is you don't have to do so much. I know my friends were trying to do like $100 a month, and that was too much to them. That still gave them that stress. That still gave them the, oh my God, I'm too invested. I need to watch it all the time. And if they had just done $10 a month and not worried about it, there would have been more Satoshis there. Because as it happened, when the price went down, they got scared and turned off the dollar cost averaging. So even as I was trying to explain to them how averages work, and that actually these would be your best buys now if the price came back. And again, I didn't know it was coming back. A lot of people claim certainty, but if you have certainty, you better watch out. And even then, I was still arguing for continuing the dollar cost averaging. Just because it's the safest, it's the least emotional. And General Byzantium agrees. He says that's why he keeps literally 50% of his money in cryptos. He sells or buys when it deviates. There's no emotion involved. So that is a good point too, to just by having a plan, and then by having the strength to follow your plan, which is a lot harder than it sounds. You can say, hey, like right now, a lot of people are probably like, and this happened last time too, those big, glorious round numbers. A lot of people right now are like, I want to sell a Bitcoin for 20K. Because if I sold 5 at 20K, that'd be 100K, and that roundness to the numbers, when we know last time Bitcoin went to what, like 19,837, and everyone who was like, I want to sell for 19K, they're all happy, right? They didn't get 100, but they got, 5 less. They got like 94,000, 96,000. In the big game of things, 96,000 is almost the same as 100. It's tough, and you got to work to get that money, and it's a difference. But as opposed to getting 88 or getting 75 or getting 60 or 30, which could happen, not having that plan, and especially, unfortunately, as it is to do as humans, to circle your plan around those round numbers is not a good plan. So while I do, again, I'm optimistic these days. Let's look back at the price. Last time at this time, I remember what the chart readers were saying. Some of them were saying that you should take some profits, and that's very smart. A lot of them were saying we hit 18, we hit 19, then boom, next week we hit 32. And that 32 gets in your head where you're like, wow, at 18, 19, I could pay off my credit cards. But at 32, I could pay off twice the amount of my credit cards. And very easily you start getting into that mindset where you're just like, I'll hold a little longer, I'll hold a little longer. And that's why on the other side of that dollar cost averaging strategy, I think you need to have that very small, and again, it doesn't have to destroy your hodl. We're not burning down the Bible here. But if you took 5% or 10% off the board every once in a while, especially when it was crazy up and you're feeling good, which is the hardest time to sell, you might have a nice little pile of cash there that you could use to rebuy some Bitcoin later on if it's low, or just to buy a nice vacation or buy a nice chair, get a cool Blu-ray player, whatever people are into these days, iPads and phones and stuff. So you just have some cash. So I think that's a good way to look at it. And again, these things are much more difficult than they seem. It's very easy to multiply 19.2 times the magic number of Bitcoin you think you'd have, but that can be tough. General Byzantium adds, he says, use dollar cost averaging to get to 50% so that you have a percentage number of your money in cryptos. He says it only works if Bitcoin goes up forever, but if you don't believe that, don't go into cryptos. So yeah, when Bitcoin goes up more, he sells a little bit, puts it into his cash account, maybe into real estate's a good idea. Everyone has to pay for somewhere to live. Food's a good thing to buy. Anything related to health, like insurance or going to a gym, anything like that, those are all good buys that are going to pay off more in the future than just having, more Satoshis so you can have more money. You have to think more lifestyle. So Lamborghinis, not so useful. All these other things, very useful. Although again, if you really want to bring the pain, if you bought a Lamborghini at the last height because you were feeling good, they don't lose as much value as Bitcoin lost the last few years. So you could probably still be up at most of the journey. Whereas right now you'd be trying to trade your used Lamborghini for some money or some Bitcoin. So it'd be harder to go back, but they do hold their value, more than crazy up or down stock type things sometimes.
Thomas, I'm going to get some food. I'll join you back later, but I do have to get some food. I haven't eaten.
All right, we're going to try to keep this going. I do have an appointment later, and I need to eat lunch in about an hour, but we're going to keep watching the price of Bitcoin. If Martin leaves us, we might fall to some more poetry.
No. I'll just keep clapping.
You have to keep clapping at home. Keep putting it in the chat, saying hello. Ask us some questions. Maybe we'll talk more about Godfather. But thanks so much, Martin, for joining us. Enjoy your dinner there.
Thanks for hosting me. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And then there was one. I've never had the best timing for these price shows. I always see that the price is about to go to all-time high, and I think, time to start a show. It'll surely go to all-time high if we start the show. But there's the whole other side of that where it'll never go to the all-time high if you start the show. It will only go to the all-time high if you stop the show. So it could be both sides of that. So you have to watch and see how that goes. But currently the price of Bitcoin is $19,190. Seems crazy. We were at 12,000, 13,000 a few days ago. We were at 9,000. Before that, seemed like for a long time. 6,000 before that. 3,000 before that. But we never saw 1,300. They said it was going to 1,300. All the chart watchers said it went to 18 or 19. It has to go down. And the place it has to go down to is 1,300. It went to like 3,300. So that was pretty close. That's certainly close to 1,300, but not that close. But if you got any buys in the $3,000 range and you're looking at 19 right now, that's at least a 6 times increase. So that would be pretty sweet. Altcoins have gone up recently as well. Unfortunately, I was keeping an eye on Ethereum and Stellar and not owning any of them. and they just keep going up. So maybe if you keep an eye on one of these damn coins, you better buy some so that you at least can feel good about it. But then that'll work the other way. If you actually buy them, they'll go down. So, yes, I don't know. Gur in the chat says Schrodinger's show. I don't know if watching it helps or not. My friend the other day was trying to explain Schrodinger's or the theorem, the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, and so forth. But they were using it in a much more general woo-woo way where it applied to everything, not just whether the electron is a wave or a particle, whether we can tell where it is or where it's going. A lot more things they thought were affected by Heisenberg than just that one thing. So it depends on what you believe. We do have a Bukowski book, but I don't know if this is a good time for a Bukowski poem. These might be mean ones too. I saw some with words you can't even say anymore. Oh, here we go. That's an interesting one. I saw a good one. No, I don't know about Bukowski today. Doesn't seem apropos. How about some more tulips? Do you guys know that people called Bitcoin tulips? One of the reasons they would tell you not to invest in it is because the Bitcoin was going to turn out like the tulip markets in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. Like Martin said, they would grow amazing tulips. This is the book Tulipa, A Photographer's Guide to Tulips. It's very heavy, so I have to two-hand it. But they would value tulips with two colors more than normal tulips. And as Martin said, the second color was actually a disease introduced into the tulips. This tulip market led to a tulip mania, where the price of tulip bulbs, the raw material that you could use to create new tulips, actually went into the price of houses. You could trade tulip bulbs for houses in Amsterdam. Here are some very nice tulips. As you can see at home, multiple colors, different infections, and valuable and unique. The wrap on Bitcoin is that Bitcoin would be just like these tulips. It would be just like the Beanie Babies. It would be another bubble of an investment. But Bitcoin just keeps reinflating. The Bitcoin bubble, at least in my short time closely following the project, has popped at least twice and may pop a third time again soon. But it keeps reinflating itself. So it seems like it's something different than a bubble, something more like the discovery of a new internet-based currency, which is what we've been saying all along. For me, the first Bitcoin bubble was when it went from around $300 to $1,200. It then went almost back to $100, even lower. It was shocking and dramatic. Everyone was excited. Then we watched again as the price of Bitcoin went from around $1,200 to $19,000. Everyone was excited. It was crazy. Then, as things do, the price went back down. No one knew exactly where, but it ended up in the around 3,000 range before suddenly again coming back. Now we see it again at 19,000, and the thing seems to be with these markets is that reaching the old all-time high is never good enough. You want to reach the old all-time high and go higher before you then make a new all-time high, which of course will cause the price to go lower again as we cycle through this. These cycles are crazy. Everyone likes to say that you just have to believe that the Bitcoin will come back and that everything will be fine. But when you see it go from 19,000 to 3,000, or even 19,000 to 6,000, that's where I got freaked out. And then you have to have a lot of faith to believe that it's just going to come back. It depends where you get in. There's different timings for everything. If you just entered and you saw the price there, it's easier to have faith. Maybe if you've been in it longer, it's harder. Maybe if you've been in it even longer than that, it's easier again. So it just depends at what point you got into Bitcoin, whether you're crazy happy right now, a little happy right now, mildly happy, wishing you bought altcoins, whatever you're feeling right now. It's okay to feel it. It's okay to feel regret you don't have enough Bitcoins now. Your plan didn't work out. You thought you'd have more. Your contract didn't come through. Whatever it was, something went wrong. Maybe you sold too much. Maybe you didn't buy enough. Maybe you bought a lot and now you're doing good and it's a good time to sell and to pay off your loans or whatever you use to buy that as well. There's something great about getting rid of your credit card bills if you have credit card debt. There's also something great in having a place to live and paying off your house. So let's make both of those goals for Bitcoin. Let's not just, but then the other side is hodl, own nothing, live in a hotel room or live in a cheap apartment. That can be good for a long time, but at a certain point, you want to live your life too. So it's okay to take small amounts of profits, especially if you're feeling really good. So people will forget that. You forget when you're up. So you want to remind yourself that you're up and that profits are okay. Hooten Pie says in the chat, tulip mania boom left a strong tulip production for Holland until now. They are still, I guess maybe the COVID situation has destroyed everything, but there was still an active tulip market in Amsterdam when I got to visit there. It was a very exciting thing. Of course, the tulips are going for mere dollars now, not hundreds or thousands of dollars. But one of the things they always say about tulips is that it goes to zero. And that's not true. The tulips still have value. They still are unique. You still pay more for brighter bulbs with this unique disease that causes the multicolors. And but you can't, it's hard to get a house for a really nice tulip anymore. But yeah, they would always use this against Bitcoin. Usually the fancy financial people, the bank people, people like JP Morgan and Chase, Jamie Dimon at JP Morgan, they would say that Bitcoin is nothing but tulips. It's digital beanie babies. It's a joke. You're going to lose all your money. You're wasting your time. It's not a real currency. All these kind of things. And yet at the same time, the Bitcoiners and the cypherpunks just kept building. They just kept building new companies, easier ways to buy Bitcoin, more on-ramps, better hardware wallets, easier ways to own and to store your Bitcoin safely, more Bitcoin ATMs, easier ways for people to buy Bitcoins with cash and even sell them with cash sometimes, depending on your local rules. All of this infrastructure, all of this building has been going on here behind the scenes, clearly behind the back of the media, who completely forgot about Bitcoin when the price went down and now has suddenly discovered Bitcoin again. All of these things are making the price rise possible, as well as the basic structure of the Bitcoin halving. You don't need to have an advanced degree or know what stock to flow ratio or all these other charts are to know very simply that the amount of Bitcoins being produced will always go down. The production of Bitcoin goes down by half on average every 4 years. So I've been in Bitcoin a little time now, and I've been fortunate enough to see almost 2.5, I'd say, halvenings. I was almost into Bitcoin when the reward was 50 and it went down to 25. I was definitely around for the 25 to 12.5 halvening, and the halvening that we just had seems like months ago. It's hard to tell in COVID time, but the halvening we had months ago knocked it down from 12.5 to 6.25. 6.25 Bitcoins made every 10 minutes instead of 12.5. You don't need a math degree to see that there are less Bitcoins being produced. The obvious idea at the time of the halvening that for the miners to continue to make the same amount of money they made for producing Bitcoin, after the halvening, the price of Bitcoin would have to at least double for the miners to continue to make the same amount. If the price more than doubled, the miners would make more than double, and they would continue to profit even more than they made under the old halvening system. So here we are again at the top of the mountain, or near the top anyway, and the price has increased. The miners will make money. They will keep mining Bitcoin. This has happened in each of the previous halvenings. The price has risen to keep the miners afloat. The theory is in another 4 years, or 3 years and half a year, whatever it is, and 7 days and 2 months, another Bitcoin halvening will occur on schedule as planned in the software. It doesn't take any human interaction. The halvening happens on itself. Humans actually can't cancel it unless all of the Bitcoin network agreed, and so on and so forth. It would be a complex agreement between both the coders and the miners and the users to change that number, and it seems unlikely that they would change that number. That means that in 4 years, if there's another halving, even given a price of right now, Steve Irwin giving us the thumbs up, 19,219, the Bitcoin price would again have to double. So even if that was your basic investment theorem, that low supply leads to increasing prices, you would be right on. You would be in the profit. You would be in the black. To say nothing of all the technological improvements of Bitcoin, the addition of the Lightning Network, the liquid side chains, the Taproot system that's currently being built and installed. The software has gotten better. The community has gotten larger. The bankers are here now. And there's less supply. So for all of those reasons, certainly this isn't investment advice, but personally, I do have an investment in Bitcoin. And I think it's cool. Let us know in the chat how your investment's going. Hooten Pui in the chat says, for them, it was 1,200 to Mount Gox, from 1,200 to Mount Gox. So yes, it was exciting times, the previous highs, having a little bit more money and then having a lot less money. So it could very easily happen again now. No one knows where the top is, and no one knows where the floor is. But generally, I would say with charts like this, with the wave patterns, once you break an all-time high, which we're currently watching the price of Bitcoin not do, once you break it, you do go higher. But then you set the new all-time high, which eventually does have a downward curve, as so many people would take profit. I remember a lot of people are waiting toward big round numbers to take their profit. This is a dangerous strategy. You'll likely only get your big round number that must be part of the new cruelty with Jitsi. It cuts you off every hour. So we're likely going to be switching back to Zoom soon, so it'll run good. The other option would be to run Open Broadcaster, but I already have a lot of programs open on my laptop, and it can be difficult to add in additional people to talk to with just OBS. But we're looking into other options, though for now, Jitsy's good. It just cuts us off every hour, keeps you on your toes. Welcome to it's really hour 3, but it still says 2 hours and 2 minutes. But welcome to hour 3 of watching the Bitcoin price not rise to the all-time high, instead go up and down. General Byzantium is joining us in the chat. He says, the stream's dead. We're going to hit the all-time high now. So yes, it may only go up when we go to lunch. So you may be repeating to yourself the classic line from the David Mamet play, Glengarry Glen Ross, where he says over and over to the guy who's a bad salesman and not helping him, he says, go to lunch, will you? Why don't you? Yes, go to lunch. Go to lunch. And it's a Mamet thing. So he says it over and over again, much like Aaron Sorkin, the author of The West Wing. They both wrote plays. So they write a lot of dialogue and they use a lot of dialogue. In the chat, Hooten Pui says he paid 1 Bitcoin for his first Trezor. So a lot of people have stories right now that are a little painful. Certainly a Trezor costs not that much now, $100 to $200. So it would be rough to have paid a whole Bitcoin for it. A lot of people spent Bitcoin back in the day. Certainly I suggested people spend it for a while when I was working at Purse, and they didn't always rebuy. Rebuying was always an option and a good idea. That way you could use Bitcoin as a currency, send it across the internet to buy something, and then use your own fiat currency to rebuy that Bitcoin immediately, keeping your stack at the same value. But that's why I think a lot of people should just separate things into different piles. Have a stack for holding, a stack for spending, a stack for investing, pulling in and out. Says our stream rate is lower than the current stream rate, but we may still be on. Okay, that's great. The warning blows up the page so you can't see anything. Oh, well, we're going to try to keep this going for just a little bit longer, see if we can drive the Bitcoin price over 19,800. Otherwise, we're going to check back after lunch, after my appointment, see if we can get some more Bitcoin price action going. And maybe we'll even get some more people to hang out with and celebrate this momentous price rise. People have been waiting 3 years to see the all-time high of Bitcoin. And now Bitcoin says they might just have to wait a little longer. Going over our top stories of the day. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up, currently up around 1.65% in the last 24 hours, with the last of 30,080. The Dow Jones breaking 30,000 for the first time ever. So that was also an all-time high of the Dow Jones, all-time high, 30,116.51. Hit today, November 24th, 2020. So as it turned out, during the COVID virus freak out, you could have bought stocks at 19,000 Dow level. Now the stocks are back up to 30,000, yet the coronavirus is still out there. However, there are 3 different vaccines and hopefully a plan to use them. We've also been watching out for a Bitcoin shortage, as PayPal and Cash App are now buying more than 100% of the new supply. We've warned you for years about the day when normal people like you and me would no longer be able to buy a Bitcoin, or even a 0.1 of a Bitcoin, or now a 0.01 of a Bitcoin. It's now getting tighter and tighter as more and more large institutions buy Bitcoins. to then sell them to their customers at a profit. That could be you buying them direct and holding them for a profit. We checked out this great Elmo video that told us the story of Elmo investing in Bitcoin. At first, it was 10,000. Elmo was very happy, and he was thinking good things about Bitcoin. This is, of course, the last time when Bitcoin went up. It went to 14. It went to 16. Elmo's a little out of control here. It went to 18. Elmo's totally out of control. 19. Uh-oh, it's going down. 17, 14, 9, 3. Oh, no, Elmo. Oh, no. There goes Elmo. But what's really neat now is that we can run this video backward. And now Bitcoin's back up to around 19,000. Elmo is happy again, flying around the room on the ceiling fan. If you like this show and you want to donate to our campaign to raise $1 million in Bitcoin, you can donate now to the QR code on your screen. There's a link below to the Tallycoin if you'd like to donate with a Lightning Network. You could also donate with Bitcoin right now at this address. So far, we've raised 0.12 of a Bitcoin. That is according to our great calculator at preev.com. Been using this since 2013. Simple. 0.12 Bitcoin is worth $2,300, well up from around $1,000 where it was the last time we checked. You could donate now. We will hold this Bitcoin until it is worth $1 million. So we are well on our way there, up from 1,000. We also want to suggest this great article, although it's too long to read out loud, at coindesk.com. It's called Cypherpunk, Crypto Anarchy, and How Bitcoin Lost the Narrative. The cypherpunk ideas were correct. They were true. They predicted the future, but still, businesses and corporations are not listening to the cypherpunks. They are paying them lip service to their philosophy and ignoring them, trying to use the crypto revolution as another way to get rich. Why bother helping people when you can just get rich? I watched all 3 Godfather movies yesterday. Ask me anything on Twitter. It's a great time to have a nice chat about some of the finer features of 2 great films and 1 not great film. We've been checking out the stories. People are excited about the rise of Bitcoin. We're seeing lots of cool memes. Here's a little bit from Crypto Graffiti, the artist, showing all these different coins and currencies cut up to spell the different symbols. Cool graphics. We've also heard today that the Queen is expressing an interest in blockchain. One must say, one finds it all a little surprising, or perhaps, as Alice would say, curiouser and curiouser. So thanks to everyone. We got a couple of nice thank yous today on this cool Bitcoin thread of people thanking people for getting them into Bitcoin. That's very cool. I hope you guys will participate in that thread and thank whoever got you into Bitcoin, even if you don't know them anymore, or maybe they're not a public person. You know, thank your parents, thank your friends, thank that guy at the video store. I don't know, wherever you heard about Bitcoin, it's a great day to be thankful and to just celebrate it a little bit and to put the words out there. So good stuff. We went live to celebrate the all-time high, but we didn't quite get the all-time high. What we got is some cool show, hanging out with you in the chat and hanging out with Martin. Thanks to Martin for being here. We're going to head towards the end of the show so that I can go have lunch. We'll probably check in a little bit later in the afternoon, see how the price of Bitcoin's going, see if we get an all-time high today, and try to gather up some of the other World Crypto Network regulators, the regulars. The price of Bitcoin at this time is $19,232. That's $1 for 5,200 Satoshis, making 15,000 Satoshis for $1 seem like a really good deal. The price is up 4.22% in the last 24 hours. with a high of 19,400 and a low of 18,130. Volume was at 14,424 Bitcoins traded. The market continues to lean long, with 70% of the market heading that direction. Bitcoin dominance was at 62.81%. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to give us a thumbs up down below and to subscribe. We'll be back later today to see if the Bitcoin price will break the all-time high. Naturally, if we turn off the show, it might just skyrocket. So look for the price to maybe jump a couple $100 if we turn off the show. But what direction will it go? No one knows. And if they tell you the no, they're lying to you. But thanks so much for joining us today on the World Crypto Network. Give us a comment in the chat, send a comment down below, thumbs up and share, subscribe. Check out shop.worldcryptonetwork.com. We've got some t-shirts. You could get the Treasures Don't Float t-shirt. Tell everyone about your boating accident. Don't have to tell them a long story. Just say, hey, treasures don't float. So thanks so much for joining us. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Until next time, bye-bye.